My guest today is Mark Pilgrim, well-known DJ, voiceover artist, and motivational speaker. Mark, it's wonderful to have you. And it's a very sad day. David Bowie died today.
He did indeed. What a legacy he left behind.
I was going to ask you, because he wasn't of your age. Ziggy Stardust was before your time.
Yeah.
But were you a David Bowie fan?
Not really. My music started back in 1982 when I fell in love with the radio. And he was big in the 80s, but he was even bigger in the 70s. I think his career spanned 4 decades, but it was just before my time. So I liked 1 or 2 of his songs, but I never followed him too much.
Well, if you had a chance, I mean, because I've listened to you many, many times on radio, and you have such a wonderful understanding of music.
We pretend to.
Nah.
We bluff our way.
And I was wondering, if you had a chance to go back to any era, I'm going back to the 30s, the big bands, Sinatra, to today, to Ariana Grande? Or
That's right, sounds like a coffee.
Where would you go? Where would you be?
You know, yesterday on the radio, I had my phone connected, so I don't want to say I had it on the iPod, because we don't have iPods anymore, but it was shuffling music through my phone just yesterday, and Buddy Holly came on.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Buddy Holly, and I love the 50s. I don't know too much about the era. You know, I know it's drive-ins and milkshake, but the music, there was a certain innocence about that music which I loved. So I was just yesterday thinking about that as Buddy Holly came on. But I love my 80s music. And I love my 90s.
Which was the 80s? I mean, I'm trying to get I'm a 60s man.
So 80s was Cyndi Lauper, Bryan Adams, Bon Jovi. Many of them had a career way beyond and before the 80s. But it was a lot of the very commercial pop music, very happy, very distinctive. What's great about the 80s decade, you tell someone about a song from the 80s, they'll probably go straight away, I remember that song. The 90s has got amazing music, but there's less recall on the bands and the song titles in the 90s.
Mark, you studied business. You studied industrial psychology.
I did.
When did the makeover come?
I even at one stage was the Johannesburg chairman of the Market Research Association of South Africa.
Which meant you sat on a corner filling out those forms?
It was all about quantitative and qualitative research and statistical margins of error. I always had a passion for radio. But growing up in very small towns, you get channeled towards academically what you're good at. I was always good with maths and accountancy. So that's just the logical path I followed. But in the back of my mind, I used to listen to David Gresham, to the Springbok Radio Top 20. And as a 12, 13-year-old, I would listen to him and go, that seems to be the coolest job. But it seems so far out there. You know, I'm a small town boy.
You say a small town boy.
I grew up in small towns in England.
Yes.
And then when I came to South Africa at the age of 9, it was Kriel in Mpumalanga.
Are you kidding?
And then Sasolburg.
That's a power station.
Yeah, my stepdad worked at the power stations. And then Sasolburg, which was also a power station. But I would ride around the streets of Kriel with a battery-operated microphone and speaker. And I would strap the speaker around my back, and I would ride around announcing lost dogs, which I fabricated. I would just make it up, because I just wanted to get my voice out on a speaker.
Mark, you've spoken about your illness. In fact, you've written about it in a book, which has just been released. This was a very serious illness.
Yeah.
Can you take us through this? Can you talk about it?
You know, for many people, I often say, because I do lots of motivational talks now surrounding cancer and also a heart attack, which I had later on in life. But I say, for all that we look at Lance Armstrong now and we go, well, he wasn't the best role model. One of the big things I still always take out from Lance Armstrong's life story is that he made it okay to talk about testicular cancer. Because when I was 18, back in 1988, no one spoke about testicular cancer. You didn't talk about what happened down there. And the problem is, and it's such a cliche, but early detection can save your life. So if people talk about it, if you have an anomaly, if you have a lump, something's not right, the earlier you talk about it, the less chance you'll die. And back in 88, no one spoke about testicular cancer. Someone's enjoying exclusive books nicely. No one spoke about testicular cancer. So I sat for, it could have been weeks or even a month or two, with a testicle that was growing in size but I ignored it.
It was obvious to you that something was wrong.
Something was wrong, but you put your head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich and you think, it'll go away. Maybe I've got a knock. And also as an 18-year-old, I knew that if I went to Mum and said, Mum, something's wrong, she'd want me to drop my rods and have a look at my ghoulies. I don't want my mum looking at my testicles. But eventually I had to, because I realized this was not going away. But the problem was, every day I didn't speak to my mom, it was coursing through other parts of my body and landed up in my lungs and kidneys as well.
But you've overcome that. You're clear. There's
now.
Absolutely nothing.
So,
and when you speak and your motivational speak, you talk about this. You talk about the fight that you had against that.
yeah. So my motivational talk, I like using humor. I'm always a typical DJ. I'm looking for a punchline.
You were a kid.
But testicular cancer is very prevalent amongst 18 to 35-year-old men. After that, it's still a possibility, but prostate cancer becomes more of a reality. But testicular cancer is very prevalent amongst the younger men. So there should be more awareness campaigns to tell people to go check their ghoulies. I often say in my talks, if I'm talking to youngsters, if you don't want to check, get your girlfriend to check for you. It could be lots of fun. But it's about breaking that stigma. It's okay to talk about it. My friends call me Gonad. That is my nickname. I'm known as the guy with one ball, and it's okay.
Well, you have 2 children, so I suppose it hasn't stopped.
And despite the jokes, I know they're mine because they look like me. I had a lady ask me recently, I was doing one of the talks, and she said, did I ever consider a prosthetic ball? And I had never really thought about it. I don't even know, do they make them out of polystyrene? I don't know. Can you imagine you're trying to do scuba diving and you keep floating back to the top? I don't know. But I'm okay with one.
And Mark, you had a heart attack as well. You don't look like a heart attack man. You look very, very strong, very
fit. I think
fit.
that was a big eye-opener, not just for me, but for many people, because I've been known as Mr. Health and Fitness. I was the face of a big supplement brand for a long time. And when I had the heart attack, I just started filming a game show. And it was the biggest game show ever this country had ever had. And I remember saying to myself, I don't feel like I'm nervous. We've got 200 audience members, 7 cameras, but I'm feeling something weird. Am I subconsciously a bit nervous? Because game shows don't often work in this country. And here I am at the helm of the biggest one, and I really want to make it work. So I just palmed it off as maybe subconsciously I'm a bit nervous about this show. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And the mistake I made as well was I didn't know where my heart was. So I had a pain in the center of my chest, and I thought it was maybe the anxiety of the show. And I also thought, well, it can't be my heart, because my heart is not here, my heart is there. We watch movies where they pledge allegiance. It was only after the heart attack I realized my heart is not sitting there. My heart is sitting here. I mean, slightly off center, but it's here. So it felt like an elephant on my chest, and I ignored it. That was the big mistake I made.
But you're fit now.
Well, I've got 10% of my heart that doesn't work, so it doesn't beat. So I'm on medication the whole time. But I don't mind popping a couple of pills.
So what's your daily routine? I mean, what does Mark Pilgrim do in the morning, afternoon, evening?
The great thing about being a freelancer, or maybe some people would say it's not the great thing about being a freelancer, is that you never quite know what your day is going to entail. So either I'm doing a TV shoot, or I'm doing a radio show, or I'm emceeing something, or I'm doing a voiceover, or I'm giving a talk. Every day is different, which is quite exciting. It also gives me pockets of opportunity where I'm not working and I can spend time with my girls. Whereas if I was doing a 9-to-5 job, it might be a bit harder. So I'm quite fortunate that I'm quite a hands-on dad. I make sure I get my exercise in every day.
What do you do? What kind of exercise now for both those illnesses? I mean, are they not connected?
Well, the thing is, my heart attack wasn't based on lifestyle. It was genetics. It was based on a family history of a heart disease. So I think that's what's very important to get across, that even if you are healthy, if you've got a family history, you've got to still check your numbers. In fact, even if you don't have a family history, check your numbers once a year. But I thought, I eat well, I train, it's not an issue for me. Of course, if you don't lead a healthy lifestyle, even more reason to start leading a healthy lifestyle. But it's cardio maybe 4 times a week. It is weight exercises about 4 times a week as well. So I quite often double up in a day. And I'm a gadget man. I love technology. The Apple Watch.
I was looking at that.
The Apple Watch. I am now at gym at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning because I want to clock steps on this device. Not because I want to get fit, but I want to get the numbers.
you want to reach your goal.
Yeah.
Your wife, you write that she's the love of your life. You got married a couple of years ago, have 2 daughters. How old are the girls?
So my girls are 3 and 5.
Oh, wonderful.
My family are everything. I think when you go through a life-threatening incident, for many people, it'll change your perspective. It's not all about work. I work, I love doing, I'm fortunate that I love doing what I do as a living, and it generates an income, but I ultimately do it to provide for my family. I want my lasting legacy to be, I was the best at it. That's what I want. Nothing else matters. And once you realize that you were almost not around, you just focus so much more on the family.
Sweet. That's lovely. Mark, the voiceover, because we're going to get you to do the outro. I'm useless at it. I never know how to get out of it. But that's also a profession. I mean, do you mainly do adverts or you do TV shows? Where does that come? I mean, you must have known that you had this wonderful voice. You know, how did that start?
I started off with what people in South Africa call a speech impediment. Where I come from in England, it was just the local dialect. I didn't say the letter R. So the part of England I come from, I would be Mark Pilgrim.
Like Frank Muir.
Like, Twally for Twally. Or Wadja Wabbit. And I've even got a letter from 702. In fact, Rena Brimberg, who is now Gareth Cliff's manager, she wrote back to me after I auditioned once at 702, saying, I need to practice my diction, especially the letter R. So I did. I would spend weeks going, I had the great Dorian Berry, a broadcaster from the 80s. She had me lying on the floor doing breathing exercises just to try and get everything sorted out. And
that sounds... So we've run out of time. It's been wonderful talking to you. So I want you to say you've been on the couch with Mark Pilgrim, me, David Shapiro. Can you do the outro for us?
Hi, I'm Mark Pilgrim. I've been on the couch with David Shapiro. Just to let you know, my first autobiography, my first and only autobiography, Beyond the Baldness, now available at exclusive books and Historical Books.